I would love to talk about why you decided to start this podcast.
Well, I've built a few large businesses, each one over $1 billion. And I see so much stuff that's just nonsense because it's taught by people who've never done business. You got professors, you got consultants, you got all of these people, and they teach you this stuff which is just wrong. What we're going to do is give everybody a different perspective as to how we disagree, how I disagree. They can take it or don't take it, but definitely it'll be fun. And it'll be funny because some of the stuff you can't make up.
I would love to talk about one example of a common one that you think is just really worth discussing today.
So I interview people a lot, all the time for hiring. And several people I've interviewed I said, well, what do you do all day? And he goes, well, 40% of my time goes to making PowerPoints. Something, sorry, when do you actually do your work? If you're spending 40% of your time doing PowerPoints. So what I did was in our company, I said internally PowerPoints are illegal because we're not 5 years old. We don't need pictures. Just make bullet points. Just one page, bullet points. I don't need circles and stairs and charts and graphs and why? It made no sense, especially if you're wasting all this time.
As you've said, people can expect to hear a lot about all of these things that maybe they do every day and maybe aren't the most efficient practices. And you're trying to help people do away with that. And so I would love to know who this podcast is for.
It's actually for the investors, retail investors that buy stocks and whatever, and they don't really understand investing because nobody really taught them. And all you've got is Wall Street speak, which is really a lot of nonsense. You've got people who predict stuff all the time. Predictions are wrong almost all the time, and yet we keep listening to the same predictions. So somebody's got to really say, okay, how do you actually do this, to make sense?
If someone only had 60 seconds to hear your best piece of investment advice, what would that be?
Here's the thing. There's some parts of investing that are broken out into several pieces. One is gambling, where you say, oh, the stock's going to go through the moon, right? Or speculation, where you're putting money in a company that makes no money. Then there's investing in companies that make money, and then you look at them and say, what's the risk here, right? I don't want to lose my money. And then there's the fourth kind, which is you put it in the bank, and inflation eats it away. So you got to understand all of them and what their position is. Because if you don't understand it, you can't do it.
Absolutely. And I want to know if there's a key takeaway that you could give to the listeners from your podcast. What would you want that to be?
I think everybody wants to really know how everything works, right? And the funniest stuff is the truth, right? And when you look at it, you're going to say, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? That's what this podcast is about. It's getting to the obvious.
Talk to me about how you want the community to engage with you and what you want to receive from your audience to best serve them.
Okay. Well, I think lots of people will want questions. Look, I've got this investment. Should I do it? Should I not? Right? Or I'm doing this. I'm going to buy this company. Should I do it or not? I'm hiring people. What should I do? Every business has several businesses within it. Right? There's hiring. There's making. There's buying. So everybody, there's questions for everything. Right? So whatever my experience is, from that, I'll be answering those questions. And if I don't know the answer, then I won't answer it.
But you invite all questions then.
Invite all questions, and there's stuff that I don't know anything about. In which case I don't know anything.
Yeah. It's a good business practice. Don't preach what you don't know, of course, right? Yeah. So it's going to be available on YouTube at Biz with Manoj. That's BIZWITH. Manoj, MANOJ. And then it'll be available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else that people would like to consume their podcasts. And if people want to submit questions, they can email manoj@businesswithmanoj.com or in the comments on YouTube, or they can call a number 877-424-1004.